Welcome to interactive PDFs using Cami and TeacherMade. These are two tools that are just options for you to collaborate and provide student feedback, whatever you like to do with your students. And PDFs are certainly how we have a lot of our resources. So it's nice to get those resources you've used for a long time to make them digital, or so they're interactive digitally. And also cut down on that paper clutter in your classroom. Cami is the first one I'm going to talk about, and its strength, and I will be talking about the free versions of both of these, though they both have paid versions. Its strength is in annotating PDFs, and the benefit is you're using them directly from your Google Drive. And the three big tools you can use are on the post-it there. In TeacherMade, its greatest strength is creating self-scoring PDFs, and it has 8 question types. The essay answer is one you would have to self-score manually, but it would add to the balance of the score. And you can see the list of those scores there, or the question types there. When choosing a new product, once you want to be sure to clear it with your administrator, your tech person in your district. But I do want to let you know, both of these applications have signed the Student Privacy Pledge of 2020. So what does that mean? The big idea is we're not going to share students' personal identifiable information, and that's what that pledge is all about. We're going to be talking about Cami as we get started. We want to know these things about Cami, that not only you, but your students are going to have the Cami app from the marketplace. Good news is your Google administrator can just push it out to everybody. So when they have a PDF, they just pick open with, and I'll show you that. There is a Cami extension. We don't have to have that because we aren't going to be using the paid version. But I do want to let you know there is an extension out there. We don't really want that one. PDFs, the convenience and the luxury, they're all stored in your Google Drive. And the changes you make are saved to the original PDF. So do one of two things: make a copy of that PDF before you even get started. That way, if you ever need to print it, use it someplace else without all the annotations you make, then it's left alone. But in Cami, there is a download option, and you can download back to your Google Drive or your computer a clean copy. So never fear if you forgot to make a copy in advance. It's all right. You can get that clean copy out of Cami. And then the annotations are actually made to the PDF text. That I wanted to let you know that Cami really sees the PDF. It sees the content. It sees the objects. So hopefully, if you had some type of screen reader, you had, or if you're just trying to highlight, it'll select that text for highlighting. And I'm going to pause on telling you the highlights of TeacherMade. Let's get into Cami, and we'll discuss and practice some of those features. So I'm leaving this. I have some PDFs all ready for you and some exercises. When you get started with a PDF, you probably got it. It looks great for the student, and lo and behold, page 2 or page 4 has all the answer keys. You can't give that out to students that way. And so we're going to quickly do splitting. If I am looking at a PDF out of my Google Drive, I'm in preview mode. And the way I know is that all around the PDF, it's just kind of dark, almost like a smoke color. I can slightly see through that smoke to the background, and I have open with at the top. If I don't see Cami up here, it's because I don't have that app from the marketplace. So I can go down to connect more apps. When I do this, it takes you to the Google Marketplace for Workplace. I can search, type Cami, and what we see are actually 2 tools. Don't even worry about this split and merge. We want this over here. It's the Cami PDF and document application. And you would have a button here that says to install. long as you're a teacher and you have access to do this, you can install. The students don't normally have access. I know of one district that can, but in most cases they cannot. So that's where you still have to talk to your Google administrator for the students to get this tool. Because remember, you and your students both need to have it. And I'm going to close it. I already have it. Click Open With. Annotate with Cami. It asks me to give permission for Google Drive. Sure. And you're going to see this pop up every time. This is just part of the process of getting started with Cami. The windows pop up, and here's Cami with my PDF. Now I said I came here for splitting. At the top right, I have a menu, and it's the very first item, split and merge document. So how cool is that? If you have multiple PDFs or multiple files and you want to pull them together, you can do that as well. But I'll practice just splitting. I'm going here to select my one file, looks good, and click on Next. This file had 2 pages, the worksheet for the students and the key, my answers. If I just click Split Pages, how often do I need to split them? I only have 1 page for what I need. And then I click and I see that they've been split. I could then export these separately. And when I do that, I can decide where is it going? Back into Google Drive? Yeah, sounds great. And then I can continue. All done. Now I have my worksheet all alone. And if I wanted to keep, the original that's together, anytime I want to access my answer key, then I don't need to also do the split save for the answer key. I can go ahead and close this window. This tab is closed, and I'm back here to the tab where the document was resting. So we're done with it. That's all I needed to do. Now in Google Classroom, I can assign this document just like I would whenever I'm grabbing anything else to assign. So in my classwork, I click Create, and I'm ignoring a feature right now. I'll explain why that shows up in a moment. I'll go to the traditional assignment and type, this was my parts of speech. Of course, my spaces are out of control. The teacher would just add, you go to Google Drive. Unfortunately, it's something that you just worked on. It should pop up in your recent. So splitting, there it is, splitting my parts, and I insert that. Always make sure that you are making a copy for each student. That's vital. If it belongs in a certain topic, points, etc., maybe differentiate if it only goes to certain kiddos, and hit assign. From the student's perspective, and I just have the student signed in as incognito. I already had this assigned earlier, but you see the new one just popped up here. What does this look like? So this is Simon. He signed into Google Classroom. He clicked on the PDF. Same smoky around the preview for this. And the student would click Open With and choose Annotate with Cami. And again, the same authorization process, it's going to pop up whenever students and you click on using Cami. And it came up a second time. And I've seen this happen to me pretty often, but they simply click to continue. Some of the tools, I had that little sticky note in my presentation that showed you some of the features. A student could just draw. We have basic features for drawing, and there are 250 colors. So we have definitely enough to satisfy all those creative students. And if I want to work on my parts of speech, I could use this brush tool and draw. So action or state of being. All right, I can just draw. And if I'm very excited about using the pen, then I can go ahead and keep changing my colors. And our second one, we have interjection. If I'm a student who prefers maybe something more formal, there is a line tool. And of course, I can change the stroke and the transparency with that line tool. For our math teachers, as you're using lines, then we can, I need to see my answer a little farther down. There we are. We can also add to this line. And whenever I select the line, you can see that I can change things about that line, the color of it. And this menu lets me decide if I'm telling time, if I'm doing angles, I can have rays, and I can have even a broken line to connect. And I would get those options after I've drawn that line. So this is how the student would work with the file. There is an autosave feature, but I will encourage you strongly. This is the thing to get across to yourself and your students. Always hit the save. Up here it says turn in. And if we were paying for Kami, then you would just hit turn in and it would take care of connecting you back to Google Classroom. This indicates there are 6 unsaved changes and the student should click Save Now. I see the checkbox for autosave, but I will guarantee you're going to see some unsaved changes in here. So always stress to your students, click Save Now. If you ask, well, what happens if they do click Turn In? If you click any button in Kami that has the pro level or the paid version, it's just going to say, oh, well, you need to upgrade. And that way, okay, I can't really click that button. Now, when it's the primary level students, those teachers have expressed to me that they think that turning in is a bit of a cumbersome process. So I'm going to go through these steps right now. This is the student. We'll pretend they finished their work. They clicked up on the turn in and they hit save. So that's step 1. This window, they're done with it, so they can close the tab. That brings them back to where the other tab left them before going to Kami in the preview mode. So they need to arrow back. So we can call that click 3. They're returned to the classwork page and they do need to click view assignment, click number 4, and hit turn in. Click number 5. And then always Google Classroom has this second window. Nothing special about Kami, that's just how Google Classroom works. So click number 6. It takes 6 clicks really to save and turn in the assignment. And that's just some feedback I wanted to share from some primary teachers. That is finished. Let's go back and see what else we can do with Kami. And I'm going to arrow back. I have something that you have 1 or 2 of these in your PDF collection over the years. Comes in maybe from the textbook company or wherever you've gotten it. So I need to open this and I need to rotate it. How do you rotate? Well, you can do that right here. We have our menu again, and I can rotate clockwise. Voila. And if I came up here, save it, I think I'm good. And I'm going to be that student again. Let me just switch that screen, bringing back this student and do this map activity. So I already assigned it for you to save us a lot of time. It doesn't look turned. And sure enough, I'm giving it away. Even though you rotated it for your view, it did not stay. So either use the split and merge tool to rotate, or just simply show your students, hey, you guys go up to your menu and you can rotate your files as well. And what was added to this was some instruction from the teacher. What they want the student to do. Keep in mind anything that you add, like a text box, the students can move it, students can delete it. And if this is instruction that's vital to them completing the document, you might want to back yourself up, putting it into Google Classroom. But if they have removed features and over here, a teacher was blocking out something that really didn't pertain to the online environment, the teacher, the students, you all can restore annotations. So rotate on your own, restore annotations, brings back, and show your students this, because you don't want any of them to say, well, I deleted the instructions, I don't know what to do. There's a way to get that all back. And also in your Google Classroom, that's another place under the assignment description, you can go ahead and include, mark with the pen tool, the state where you live. And in this case, we're not going to do any work here. I mean, I suppose we can go ahead and draw a little bit. This is the state where we live. I said that a teacher could use the split and merge to do their rotate. So when I click menu, split and merge is right there. And this would require you to go ahead and hit the rotate, and then you would hit the export. So now you're going to save that second version, the rotated version. So who knows, you might just use Kami for this alone, splitting and rotating to get your PDF straightened up. And if you don't do anything else, that's okay. It's a tool that still benefits you. So this one now is permanently saved in a rotated format. I'm going to close the map. That's all I wanted to do with that one. And let's see what's next. And I didn't do the whiteout as a teacher, so I'll do it with this next one. Here I have some latitude and longitude exercises. And like I do with all my PDFs, I annotate with Kami. I open it up. The teacher or the student can insert text boxes. So here we see text boxes already inserted. I can go ahead and put in a new text box here. It's already telling me the size of my font and the color. And if you want a blank text box, this is key. A blank text box, if you need it to stay, you would need at least to press the space bar. So I hit space and I'm going to stretch it to the size I want. If I click away from this, the student really doesn't know there's a text box there, but I can tell there's text boxes over here on the left. What's different? This text box up here through the text tools has a background color. So that's what I would do. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to draw each one of these text boxes by hand. So it's a click to get off of your previous text box, click to start the new one, space to make an empty box stick, drag for the size, and color. And I'm going to alternate so the students can see those separately. I did my best to try to get this as small as I could. You notice that the boxes are opaque, so they are covering up that line. Some teachers, really, if that little bit was hanging off there, that might bother them, they might stretch. So you could find yourself fussing a lot with these boxes. And I told you, right, students can delete them. So you choose. Teach your students how to add the text boxes themselves based on the grade level, or at the very low levels, provide them for them. And in the lower levels, you probably, primary ages wouldn't be with such small text in such a confined space. Also, with the free version, we cannot insert links. We cannot insert videos. But over here, I kind of used this feature called comment. For free, we can do text commenting. And when I click here, I can decide, all right, right there where I click next to Honolulu, Hawaii. It signifies a comment is present because of the red dot, and I can change the color. Off to the side, I pasted in a link to a video, and then I also typed, watch this video. It would pop out into another tab, but that's okay. It's a way that I could add instruction, a link maybe to an additional information, what to do next, but comments is a possibility with Kami. This is all I'm going to do as the teacher. I've already assigned this, and I'm going to head back as the student and show you what this would look like. And they're going to do some work. Here's Simon, my pal in class again, and he's going to open with Annotate with Kami. Here it comes. And at the time, there were only 2 boxes. So that's something that Simon can add himself or simply hit the text box to type in the answer for this. Now, if there was something I needed to white out, I could have used just the shape tool to fill. That's an option for teachers. But once Simon has done his work, he can go ahead and type in the answer here. Actually, I seem to be losing boxes. Now paste in that answer. And Simon's on the text tool, so he's making new boxes and stretching the old. And you can see how these boxes can be a bit tricky, but this is how any text can be added, and it doesn't always have to have a colored background. That's just my tip to make it visible. More instructions are here. We need to draw a line on the equator, dashed lines for the Tropic of Cancer. And so let's go down to this map and use the line tool some. I showed you with the parts of speech activity, just using the pen and this line. And so color, maybe make this nice and thick, nice bright color. Where's the equator? And if you ever hold down your shift key, you'll notice that it will snap to 90 degrees. Great for you as a teacher building any angles, anything that needs to be precisely at a certain degree, 90 or vertically. And so I'll draw another line for my Tropic of Cancer, but maybe not so thick. And I think I got this about right. And we also have one more line to add here. And I believe one of these was supposed to be dashed. So when I do that, remember selecting the tool, I made the one line dashed after it was drawn. There we go. So now I have a dashed line. Students can use text. They can also draw shapes. And the one thing that eluded me, and it actually took a while, was to figure out how to get the shape fill. So if I'm going to mark this ocean that was on the worksheet over here, it was in this space that on the worksheet where they want us to label, mark it and label it. But this is just a ring. Again, when you select, you can now add features and options. So even the line could be dashed, but this is where I can get my filling. And that eluded me for a while. I really thought all the shapes could just be outlines. So definitely point that out to your students. So I think we've got shapes covered. And if I was a student, and I'm not going to go through all the steps for returning this in, but I do need to save. Look at that, 12 things that I have done that I need to save as Simon. But turning into classroom, I already went through that with you. If I close this up and do one more Kami example before we go to TeacherMade, boy, I got a lot for TeacherMade. I want to quickly show you how students would be answering something simple like this. Whether I'm the teacher or the student right now, that's really not my point. But what I wanted to show you was just a little bit more about the shapes. We have our line thickness, our shape, And I needed to add some text in here as a teacher for some guidance. What should they be doing? They should circle the correct response. And that was hiding behind all my tools. Probably need to make that a much bigger here. So we have text controls. There we are, nice and big. If there's something you're adding to your PDF, make sure that it's very visible in a color that's obvious and, oh goodness, probably a bad combination there. That's a little better. And make sure that it's not interfering with other parts of your document too. So I've gone overboard. There we go. Circle the correct response. The students can't miss it. And I have affected the original PDF. Remember, this is all stored in Drive. Maybe in the future, I need to print this out on the copier and I'm not going to have color. So I'll quickly show you after answering this, how do you get back to that original version? Because I didn't make a copy. I'm going to make my answers and let's make sure I go to the shape tool to do that. Nice purple, and this is what I think the answer is. And notice the circle kind of starts from the crosshair where it appears. We want to start off to the top left. And if students think they need to start from the center and then they realize, oh dear, my shape is off, then that's fine. They can go ahead and move that. So I like that I can actually get these hollow shapes first because that is great for responding to answers. And in this one, I might get a little break the rules here and use a square, but I've marked my answers. Nothing is graded. It is just simply something I now need to review and mark it in Google Classroom, and then permanent scores in my grade book. What I forgot to do is to show you, this has been all marked up. And I said, whoops, my mistake. I need to print this, but without all the answers. So there is a feature here to download. And where does it go? Back into my Google Drive, and look at this, the original with no annotations. And I can even name it, original if I'd like, and export that. How nice. So it even lets me navigate if I had to go to a certain folder. And there we go. That gave me the original file back here in my Google Drive. And there we go, original, just now.
So if we want our students to use this, we'll have to talk to our administrators and ask them to push it out to everyone, right?
Yes, and this would be the Kami application from Marketplace. Okay. There is an extension. I didn't use it this whole time. It's up here in my toolbar. And the reason I'm not using it is because it benefits those who pay for Kami, not really for us who are using the free version. But you can use the extension and then click open from Google Drive. You as the teacher, students do not need this at all. And I'm thinking, boy, you know what? Instead of having to root around through my Google Drive this way, I really prefer going straight into my Google Drive. And when I select a file that I'm previewing there, I can just hit open with. So there really are two things out there, the Kami app from the Marketplace, the Kami extension from the Chrome Web Store. You want the one from the Marketplace. And you got it. Just ask them and they'll push it all out. And anytime a student clicks on a PDF, then that would be across the top of their screen. Also, because of the extension, that's why I had this little icon. That will only work if I had the paid for version, which I do not. And I have some other security on my computer right now. So I could just open that in the new window to get the message that says, you need to upgrade. I only brought up the extension to show you all. I'm going to disable it after class. I really don't use it myself. Let's get quickly here to our presentation to talk to you about the TeacherMade tool. So I have to breeze through here. And you'll see as these come up for TeacherMade, I kind of paired these. So Cami, who needs it? TeacherMade, only the educator needs it. Nothing's needed for the student at all. The PDFs though, they're not in your Google Drive. So if there's something you need to put into TeacherMade, you're going to have to download it from Drive if that's the only place it's stored. But if it's on your computer, on a flash drive, that's fine. You go access the file, upload it to TeacherMade. And the benefit of this is any changes you make in TeacherMade, they're in TeacherMade. That PDF on your flash drive or over there in your Google Drive, they're left alone. They're not ever touched. So there's some pros and cons on that. The PDF content, though, is seen as a background image. So any built-in screen reading tools are not going to be able to detect and read. So that could be an accessibility issue for you. And upload limit, this was curious. It's only 12 pages at a time in a PDF. And I had one that was 40 pages. So you might need to pop into Cami, split it up a little bit if you need to do more in TeacherMade. I'll come to the feature comparison toward the end. That way you know what's for free, what they both can do. And if you still have the link to the presentation in your email or in the video description, you can look at this yourself if I run out of time, which I might. So let me go ahead back to my folders. And really this time I'm done in my Drive. I'm going to TeacherMade. TeacherMade's website, I'll just quickly log out to show you. All right. Its website lets you sign in with Google. It's free for most of their tools. And you can click log in or return to app. So right there's the sign in with Google feature and choose the account you need to use. You can organize by folders, and what I have provided for everyone is I've assigned all of my practice activities. So we have some music and science and math, German. We've got a variety of teachers here. So I try to find examples that would work for everyone. And I have that as one tab, which is a Google Chrome extension. I'm going to put this in the recording description, and I'm putting it now into my chat. So what this does, it takes all the TeacherMade assignments that I've made up for this video, and it lets you play with them. Remember, you don't have to have, as a student, anything. No extensions, no apps installed. It's all just run off a TeacherMade website. And the reason you may have never heard of TeacherMade is two folks were working on it in the 18-19 school year, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and they just really ramped it up to get it out to everyone. And it's only been around since September 2020. This is a very new product. This application, there is a paid version, but I'll show you everything we can do for free. The first thing a teacher would do is come in and hit Create Worksheet and title this. And decide where is it going to go. I really don't want it in the assigned folders, and a description. Files can be dragged and dropped right there onto your screen, and that's what I'll do. I had a PDF just on my desktop. And remember, it said 12 pages was the limit. Like Cami, I can decide right now and to split this up and only have certain pages go to my students. So if this had an answer key with it, this is my opportunity to split during the upload process. So I'm going to unselect them all. I don't want the students to get all these extra instructions. Just workout 2. All right. Put that this was workout 2 and make my file. So as I'm uploading, I'm kind of doing the split. It's seen as a picture. So this is locked. There's nothing I can do. I can't select or change these, but I do have the option as a teacher to use a few tools, and I can add text. And once I click that tool, it gives me this prompt to insert the teacher text. The crosshairs are on my screen, on my document, so I clicked and held my mouse and dragged. And that's the size, and I notice, oh, it's got a solid background. That's not going to work. That's going to cover things up. So I could adjust it, or I could, under Edit, there is where the fill color can be transparent for this text box. So I could say, circle the rests. And that style can be bold. I could really draw attention to my text color with something bright. Always use color to your advantage. That's the issue with PDFs and a copier. They're always black and white. And getting color copies of anything, doing it electronically is the way to go. So take advantage of that. My size might be a little small, and I can choose from a few fonts here. All right, so circle the rest. I think that would get their attention. And because it's transparent, they won't see the background, but I really don't like the border, so I'll remove that. There's my added instruction. And if there was something I needed to block out, maybe I didn't want them to know this was worksheet number 2, then I have a color block. It has a line too, so I have to tell it no border. Just rhythm workout. The nice thing here with TeacherMade, I can hit this preview button to see exactly how does this look for students. Can a student sit here and click that one box? Nope. Now in Cami, they can. Any box I add, any shape, they can move it around. This one, nope, because the teacher put it in, so it's glued to the surface. And what you also see are all the tools that the students get in the free version as well. Students actually seem to get a little more features than the teachers for free. So this is simply how you upload, how you can use some of the teacher text and the block. They call it an eraser because you're kind of erasing out something that's part of the original. I'm done with that. It's auto-saved, so I just click X to close it. From there, I could go ahead, and if this was ready to be rolled out to students, I click Create Assignment. I can change the name, and it's not going straight to Google Classroom because I don't have the paid for version. So right now, my option is TeacherMade. It also works with Canvas and with Schoology, even though I don't see the Schoology option on my screen. But I can click Next. And how do they sign in? Let's just use their Google account. Remember, they've signed the student privacy pledge. I'm not too afraid of them sharing and selling our students information because of that. I click on Next. This could be formative, it could be summative. What do I want to release and let them know? Well, see, this one didn't have any scoring. It didn't have any, it's just directions to circle something. So I didn't really make it fully interactive. There's really nothing here that's going to provide a score for them in this particular example. And the tools that are options for students make their own text boxes and do drawing. And we don't have the pay, so we can't do the other 3. When I click Save, it does give me a link. And so that's how I gave all of you links to my examples. But look at this. Even though I don't have the pro level, I can share to Classroom. And a lot of websites that have articles or have tie-ins like InfoHio to Google Classroom will let you do this. So I share, oh, and realize I have a spelling mistake, and tell them what to do. Circle the rests. Here's something though, we're not really turning anything in. When I come down here, I won't make a copy for every student. TeacherMade does that for us with this link. So if I circle the rest, I might want to tell them return to Google Classroom. And it won't say turn in, it will say mark as done. I'm sure if you're a Google Classroom user, you've run across where you needed them to do 20 minutes of reading, but come in here and say that they've done it, or read 7 pages in a story on their own. you really don't have anything for them to turn in, but you want them to let you know that they've done it. And this would go into my TeacherMade topic, give it my points, and hit assign. A student, let's see quickly how a student would interact. And in Google Classroom, here are some example assignments. This is the one I just sent out. I already practiced it before. So music rhythms, they would click it. Now I want you to think and compare the process with Kami. You knew that students in Kami have the preview. They have to click open with, they have to click save, and they have about 6 clicks to turn it into you. This is TeacherMade. They click on the link. It tells them to begin with Google, and they will have to choose their profile. Okay, so now it's open. That's about even with the 2 applications. Here are my instructions. The student can decide one of the tools. They have 2 shape tools. They also have a highlighter, and they have a straight line, and here we go, a pencil tool. And the color's currently blue with a line weight of 4. So I'm going to circle my rests. And again, I could be very creative. I don't have 250 colors, but I do have a variety. And as I find them, look at the top left corner. There's a button that says finish later and submit. So has that ever happened with a Google form? I know we're not talking about forms today, but students get so far in some type of assessment and they need to pause. So this student could hit finish later. Worksheet submission succeeded, great. And how does that look for the teacher? In TeacherMade, that's where you would need to go. Nothing was even clicked in Classroom at that point. And sure enough, here's Simon. And let's give it a refresh. And it says 0 completed. That's right, because there aren't any questions on this one. And I don't see that he has done anything yet. So I'm going to come back as Simon and just hit submit. And submit this work. This usually you would see some type of progress, but this was a bad example without any of the scoring features, which is the strength of TeacherMade. Let me refresh my page again. There we go. So Simon did turn it in. We see a submission date, and I can click view responses. And look at that. Here's the worksheet. If there were additional students, I navigate through. Google Classroom has a grading screen, so you would use the TeacherMade grading screen. Here's where a teacher can add comments, and the comments are a little different than entering them in Kami, but there is this comment feature here. There won't be a score, but we could just do a custom, and we had 6. Uh-oh, looks like Simon missed one, and that's probably because Simon did this one. So we're going to say that Simon got 5 out of 6, and you can manually grade. So I close this. There doesn't appear to be any save button, right? And look, he got an 83% on that activity, 5 out of 6. The neat thing is we do have actions that we could export all these scores to a spreadsheet and see them all together. If you're thinking of, gee, I don't want one spreadsheet with 120 students on it for every one of my level 1 German class. I don't want, 40 or 70, whatever the number is. When you do the assignments, and I'll show you this quickly. So things that have been assigned, I have an example. Let's see this one. You can assign it multiple times. And whenever you're looking at this, you have dots off to the right. You can delete, you can edit, let's see, rescore and reopen, or just simply down here, create. And it'll create from this original PDF. And this would allow me to separate period 1, period 2, period 3, etc. So, maybe I would need to change this to apply to the example I'm giving you. And check through the boxes to just assign it. It's pretty quick. The last thing I do, though, is paste this into Google Classroom's assignment. But most of the heavy lifting is all going to happen on the TeacherMade side. Now, that might not sit well with you because you want to do it all in Classroom. It's really a preference, personal preference. I wanted to show you 2 tools that give you these options. So I'm just breezing through that real quick to finish it up. And in TeacherMade, I wanted to show you that this example, we had a 3 out of 5. And this is what it looks like when students have partially completed something with scoring on it. So these 2 students still have work. These students have been checked and I've returned it. In Kami, when a student turns in, they hit submit their work because there's a file actually attached to Google Classroom. They are locked out of that document. In TeacherMade, students could continue working on it as long as they have that link. Even though they hit submit in Google Classroom, remember they're just hitting marked as done. A file really is existing here in TeacherMade. So if you really have a certain cutoff date, you need to just simply observe the submission date. And if anybody was late, this is what would let you know the last time that they hit submit is the telltale that they were behind. Whew, that's a lot to talk about. And I have all these wonderful examples. Let's talk about a few of the question types. This is this is TeacherMade's big strength. So we've done just some of the basics to compare TeacherMade to Kami. They both can draw, we can both send them out, turn them in, and whenever I'm a student in TeacherMade, I just hit that one time, hit submit, instead of the 6 clicks in Kami. But this is where they separate. TeacherMade's strength is in these self-scoring activities. Now I'll do this first one. I'll just edit it. And the only question type that's not self-scored is the paragraph one. These are all the question types, which I don't think I'll get through them all, but I'm just mousing through so you know them all, at least a quick glance. When a teacher wants to choose one from the toolbar, you click, you draw the size of it you want. The background's going to be solid, so it will cover up any lines that might have been part of the original PDF. I like to choose a border color so it makes it obvious that the students should be clicking there. And here's the neat thing. With paragraph, it lets us have this neat starter text. Like whenever you're doing a presentation, it says, title goes here, subtitle, and I save the changes. So I have kind of gone off of my original format, but as a student, if I view, I could look at this and as soon as I click what is forensics, then I'm able to have that text that says type your response here. It just disappears, which is kind of nice. So whenever I'm trying to decide, okay, what do I need to answer? As soon as I begin typing, it's replaced with my answer. They don't have to wipe that out, which is really handy. I can come down and see what else. There's a few here that are short answer. Those are auto-graded. So if I'm looking for a short answer, all right, this is paragraph text over here, so I don't have an auto answer, but that's all that's prepared right now. And I could check my answers as a student. And look, it's signified with green that I got that right. Now keep in mind, Google Forms does the same thing. Anything that's an essay answer that needs manually graded, it is not calculated yet. So students need to take that score with a grain of salt when there's essay and open responses. I'm going to stop the preview. So as a teacher, I can put in a question type. There we go. So I already had this short answer that's right there. I could do a new short answer in this box. I like doing the border color to draw attention to the students. And oh, the question right here is saying that I need to edit and provide that answer. So what are the correct, multiple possible answers? So what should this one be? And I know it's such a lovely topic here for all of us. Do I want to ignore punctuation? My choice. Does it have to have upper and lower case? Again, my choice. I'll just leave it alone and hit Save Changes. I could have changed my font size. The cool thing with text fields, if you don't know this shortcut already, but Control D or Command D, whether you're on a PC or a Mac, will let you copy text fields. You couldn't do that in Kami. You had to draw every text field. So I could come here, Control D, knock out a bunch of text fields, but this might not be the right answer. And so I might need to change the answer for the copy of that text. And I'm going to pretty much say that somebody who's been dead for 36 hours, or they'll probably be cold. So the teacher just basically makes the boxes with the right answers. You preview it. Oh goodness, please, please, always preview and practice your activities. Here are the 3 boxes. See if you get them correct. And check your work. As long as they're signified with green, you're good. You've got it. I'm going to close this example. That was just how to use short answer and paragraph. And I want to go to another example, but goodness, if I keep within my time, I'm not going to get to do all of these. Some others that are really important though would be a drop-down question style. And I won't go through the steps. I already have it made up. This teacher had a half sheet activity. And if they were to print these out, they'd cut them and get 2 for 1. This is where the teacher could use the block out. This is the little eraser, the color block. And I would just block out. And if you go too far off your page, it doesn't draw. So you have to stay within the borders of your screen. I don't want the line to be there. And voila, the kids would never know there was a second half. There's a word bank. And what was inserted was this drop down question type. And whenever I click, that would be me drawing, and then I would edit the drop-down choices. I decide how many points it's worth, and on the left, I signify what choice is correct. So here is one already made. I hit edit, and I already typed. And look, sediments should have been the right answer. The students will get 1 point. And even better, I can use shuffle order. How fun. And I can save the changes. Control D. Then I just position these to all the other spaces and make sure I change the right answer for those spaces. So if you have a lot of diagrams, if you have labeling to do, and you want to have the students' labels scored, this is it. You have the ability to have that auto-graded. And very quick, you make one box, copy it, change which correct answer applies to that label, and you're good. You can add distractors. I will say this though, the only downfall, as students make choices, this list does not get shorter. So if I was, say, a 4th grade, a 3rd grade student, they might accidentally answer this twice, with the same choice, because these aren't dropping off the list as they're used. So that's the drop-down style. So I'm going to go ahead here and talk about hotspots. And we do have a math example. What I'll do is, if you want to hang on with me, you certainly can. So I can go through the check boxes and the math. But if you have to drop off right at noon, I understand. I'm going to squeeze these last few examples in if you like to see all the question types. They have great tutorials on how to learn each one of these, though, if you cannot stick around. For those few folks who are filing for credit, I'll just throw this in the video chat real fast for somebody dropping off right at noon. I'll quickly show you this one. It's partially done. And here, the teacher always has the preview. I see this exactly how the student would. And we have this German vocabulary. All right, draw an arrow to match the numbers. Got it. And we're going to go, these numbers are 1 through 30. So if I'm going to start work on this, oh, how fun. A student knows, we see a little box there. So if I was going to go from 12 to, all right, 24, this is how matching works. And the students don't choose the line style. They don't choose the line color. Oh, and I think I already got one wrong. And there we go. And the student can come farther down here. I wanted to show you two. That was matching and then hot spots. We need to circle the number which matches the number word. Now I probably needed to improve my instructions. That was the original PDF. I probably should have done a color block and called this click the number. That way it matches the number word. And these are the three numbers to choose from. It's hardly noticeable, but it's very faint that these three rows are lighter in color. And that way I can go ahead and detect which ones I've already worked on. And let me fix something in our chat to get everybody the proper link. Sorry about that. This should be our right link. Now, as a student, I can try answering just by clicking. And let's see what we've got here. And number 2. There we are. Check my answers. A hotspot, you will signify as the teacher the ones that are not the place to click. So the green means it's good. The signal was do not click here, do click here, do not click here. If any of these are red, then it is signifying that the student maybe was guessing and just, or if you click 2 of them, that's going to make one of them partially wrong. And so these are all marked with green boxes. So students, based on this assignment, I can see that they got them all right. How do you do a matching? It's right up here in the toolbar. Insert matching. It can have a border or not. That's your choice. I'm leaving the borders this time. And it's red because it's not matched up to anything. So I need to find another box. And what I like, I can hit Control D just to copy the box and stretch. Loving my Control D so I can put in these fields really fast. And then if I click Edit, they tell me what to do. If I forget, it's always easy to get the instructions right there. So I click the first, I hold down Shift, and I click its partner. So that's matching. I'm going to come down here quickly and show you, and if I can maybe zoom in a bit, not there, sorry. Zoom in a bit so you can see these mice, these little mice icons. And if I'm looking here on this next activity, I'm going to do hotspots, which is represented with a little flame. So in hotspots, you just click one time. So I have a hotspot and move them so they're positioned well. This time I'm leaving the borders and the rounded corners. That's good. Whoops, we'll get to math here in a moment. So I also, from the top left corner, started there. These 3 just have little question marks on them. You can't tell that because it's so faint. These all have little mice icons on them because they've been paired up and they've been scored. So to finish, after drawing the 3 hot spots, we want to connect them so that for one point, these 3 are the ones who are involved. That's all it took. I held down Shift, click, 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 and now they're grouped. When I edit the hotspot, what should the student do? So spot number 1, the student should not click. Spot number 2, the student should not click. Spot number 3 is our answer. What should the student do? the student should click, and I can save. So these now look just like the first three. I think the borders and adjustment to my, let's do the color block, adjustment to my instructions. And then I need to type in some text. Say the teacher text should be click. Have to edit. And I don't like the border, so I want to try to make it blend in somewhat. Click the number which matches. That's much better. And as you preview as the teacher, we come down there, we see, yep, click. Oh, these three have the outline. I'll just check. Well, I didn't click these others. This is the only one I was checking right now. So I might even need to see how these three were wrong because I didn't answer them. So I only got 10% overall from that part of the worksheet, plus all of these were wrong because I didn't mark them. Whew. I know this has been a lot to rush in, but I had to get to my math teachers here in our group and those of you out there watching the recording. So my last example is math, because for free we do have algebraic tools. We have expression editor, but this one they do a very good tutorial for. So I encourage you to watch that if you go ahead with using TeacherMade. Here is the math tool right on the toolbar. I can decide what am I putting in. I have an algebra expression waiting. When I edit that, just like I'm doing with the drop down or the short answer, I'm going to need to put in my answers. Now this actually has two options, right? To answer it, let me get that back. I could answer 10 to the fourth power times 3, or I could do 3 times 10 to the fourth power. So I would type that in as my next option. And whenever we multiply, we'll get that tool there. And it's a 10. Got it. And then I need to have my superscript box and my 4. It writes the LaTeX expression down there. If you know that, if you have them, copy and paste them so you can cheat, but you can use the tools right up here and hit save. And these are the two choices students could type in. There are 2 more done. And then even here, this time as a teacher, I put the instructions for Google Classroom in a great big teacher text so that they know, oh yeah, I'm supposed to go to Google Classroom. So that's something else you can do to your PDFs. So let's look at this. Preview as a student, and the boxes are outlined. I chose orange to bring attention to where the students should click. The students now, they get the expression editor. All right, so they're going to say, I'm going to answer 3 times, all right, it was 10, right, to the fourth power. And they would need a little guidance from you the first time doing this. So that way they know how to use that tool as well. But keep in mind, under standardized tests since 3rd grade, they have been using some tools like these. So 3x plus 1/2. I'll do these quickly. 3, and I'm just typing x on my keyboard and the plus off of my keyboard because that's not a symbol provided. And now to do a 1/2, I need to select fraction before I start typing my number. There we go. You could also type 1/2, and students might know that trick as well. Last one to answer. This is the student view, doing all the tools. It's a fraction. We better start there. This was one of those had 2 options. I don't know if I added the second option, so we'll hope that this one is the right for the answer I already staged, and I'll check. Oh, very good. And how'd the student do? Great, all done. I tried to get through all those question types for everybody so you could see them, especially getting down to the math examples. That's really nice to know there's a built-in self-scoring math tool. I know teachers out there in math, science, anyone dealing with those expressions you're looking for, and they're hard to do in Google Forms. You're always drawing pictures and inserting them. And this is actually the editor